World politics is sometimes like chess. Moves are planned in advance, seeds of doubt are sown in the opponent's mind, and the outcome emerges years later. The topic we will discuss today is precisely part of this long-term game. We will see step by step how internal political struggles in the U.S. have created chain reactions not only in the corridors of Washington, but also in the global economy and geopolitical balances. In particular, we will examine how intelligence reports are transformed into political weapons, leading to a series of consequences ranging from investor confidence to energy prices. The recent resurgence of the Russian interference in the 2016 elections debate between former and current U.S. intelligence officials may appear on the surface to be an internal political dispute, but it points to a much larger picture behind the scenes. This debate not only polarizes the American public, but also influences how major actors, such as Russia, China, and Europe interpret the U.S. decision-making process and adjust their strategies accordingly. For example, the 2020 report published by the Senate Intelligence Committee, which detailed the connections between Trump's inner circle and Russia, did not emerge solely during an election cycle. The economic repercussions of this report extended to fluctuations in the dollar's value, questions about confidence in the U.S. bond market, and an increase in Russia's bargaining power in the energy market. In short, every crisis we perceive as political actually sends a signal that permeates the veins of the economy. At this point, the critical question is this internal conflict in the U.S. merely a domestic propaganda war, or is it a sophisticated tool used by global powers against one another? If the latter is true, then this is not just a debate about Trump, Obama, or Russia. It is a perception war affecting global capital flows, energy routes, and diplomatic alliances. It is important to remember here that not only the content of intelligence reports, but also when, how, and by whom these reports are made public is critical. Because markets move based on perceptions. A headline like, "Russia interfered in the elections," one day can affect oil prices the next day, alter NATO's internal balances, or trigger sharp sell-offs in Asian stock markets. In this video, we will first delve into the historical roots of this perception war, then discuss how it has entered a new phase today, particularly how the intelligence, politics, economy triangle has taken shape in the post-Trump era. We will also see what moves the actors quietly positioning themselves in the background, not just states, but also major investment funds, are preparing. So let's get started. And if you want to see more of these in-depth analyses, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because in a moment, I'll be sharing information with you that's not just making headlines, but is also being discussed behind the scenes. In the U.S., intelligence reports often remain behind closed doors, but sometimes political calculations bring these reports to the forefront. The allegations of Russian interference in the 2016 elections are one of the most striking examples of this. Official documents and reports are filled with technical details and statistics, but when these documents are made public for political purposes, the timing becomes as important as the content, because this timing triggers risk perception in global markets. For example, the Senate Intelligence Committee report published in 2020 had an impact not only on American domestic politics, but also on the London, Frankfurt, Tokyo, and Hong Kong stock exchanges at the same time. The report's statements about contacts between Trump's campaign team and Russian officials brought the Kremlin's influence in the West back into the spotlight. As a result, energy investors changed their positions in anticipation of tougher sanctions against Russia, and oil futures experienced significant fluctuations within a few days. At this point, it is critical to correctly interpret the relationship between intelligence and the economy. Political crises increase investors' search for safe havens. The dollar typically gains value during such processes, but the confidence crisis within the U.S. itself has led investors to turn to alternatives, such as gold and the Swiss franc. Indeed, following a 2020 report, U.S. 10-year Treasury yields experienced a brief decline, signaling that investors had adopted a wait-and-see stance. Here, a more interesting dynamic comes into play behind the scenes. Geopolitical rivals exploit such internal crises to their advantage. Russia is taking advantage of perception of instability within the West to negotiate more aggressively on energy deals. China, meanwhile, is capitalizing on the U.S. being preoccupied with domestic politics to pursue more aggressive economic agreements in the Asia-Pacific region. This has particularly paved the way for the acceleration of the Belt and Road Initiative. Furthermore, such crises are amplifying dissenting voices within NATO. Some European countries believe that the U.S.'s internal conflicts have weakened its global leadership capacity. This perception could open the door to alternative relationships with Russia and China on both defense spending and energy dependence issues. All these chain reactions show that intelligence reports are not merely documents that describe past events, but rather strategic tools that can shape the economic and political map of the future. And the striking part is that the publicly disclosed version of these reports often reflects only a small portion of the information actually used in the field. We will examine step by step how this perception war has been taken to a sophisticated level, how intelligence agencies and political figures have redesigned the strategy in the post-Trump era, and how this game is being played, especially in the run-up to the 2024 elections. Because the real breaking point lies not in the content of the reports, but in how they are presented. As you can see, intelligence reports are not just a record of past events. They are also powerful tools that can change the economic and political course of the future. The examples we examine today clearly show how internal political struggles in the U.S. extend to global markets, energy agreements, diplomatic alliances, and even investor psychology. The ripples of an information war in one country can cross oceans and wash ashore on other continents. But there's a critical difference here. This war is no longer fought with brute force. Today, it is waged through perception engineering, messages hidden between the lines of a single report, documents leaked at the right time, and carefully selected media headlines. This strategy can sometimes create movements worth billions of dollars in stock markets, and at other times quietly alter the balance of power between nations. And the ironic part is that we often don't even notice this change until the effects begin to manifest in our daily lives. Why does this matter? Because those who possess information can change the rules of the game. If we understand this mechanism, we can gain a few steps ahead in both our investment decisions and how we interpret global developments. But if we don't, we'll just be extras in someone else's script. This struggle will intensify in the coming period. As the 2024 elections approach, every step taken in Washington will be carefully analyzed in Moscow and Beijing. In European capitals, the stability of the U.S. will be questioned, and alternative economic blocs will come to the fore more strongly. In other words, while we are still debating whether a report on television is right or wrong, other countries will have already planned their own moves. The invisible effects of intelligence wars on the economy. We will analyze a chain that extends beyond stock markets and energy prices, from credit ratings to investor confidence indices, central bank interest rate decisions, and sudden movements in cryptocurrency markets. And let me tell you now, some of the findings will be truly surprising, because we will lay out scenarios that are discussed behind the scenes but not seen in official reports. So, if you don't want to miss these in-depth analyses, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, share your thoughts on this topic in the comments. Do you think these reports are truly prepared for national security purposes, or are they part of political and economic calculations? Reading your ideas will help me make the next episode even stronger. Remember, world politics isn't just about the speeches leaders make. The real game is played at the unseen tables, between the lines, and sometimes the ripples created by a single sentence. We may not be at that table, but understanding the game is the first step toward making our own move.